He's hungry to prove once again that he can cut it at professional level. He's a former world number 32, fell off the tour, but via the Q Tour, as he was just explaining, he has managed to fight his way back on again. It's Mark Selby, defending English Open champion, up against Martin O'Donnell of London for a place in round 3 of the BetVictor English Open. First to 4 frames goes through.
Okay, Martin.
Selby, of course, was in action earlier this afternoon against Xing Zhihao of China.
Martin O'Donnell to break.
Played very solidly, made breaks for 127 and 93. Back-to-back clearances from Selby on his way to a 4-1 win. O'Donnell, on the other hand, was beating Liam Highfield last month in Leicester. Of course, the top 16 players are held back to the venue for their first round matches. The biggest hurdle this evening, Joe, for O'Donnell will be the psychological barrier he's got to overcome of having lost 6 out of 6 to this man.
Yeah, and apart from one match, the first match he played, which was 4-3, he's been overwhelmed, really, by Selby. Always good to have a good break-off, though. That's what you hope for. Very first shot. Yeah, he's a tough competitor, there's no doubt about that. Very similar game to Mark Selby, without the scoring power, of course.
He made the semi-finals of the shootout back in 2018, losing to eventual champion Michael Giorgio. And then got to the quarterfinals of that tournament in 2021, which goes to show that you don't necessarily have to be a speed demon to be successful in that unique event, because O'Donnell is not one of the quicker players on the tour, but has had deep runs in the shootout. Mark Selby's a former shootout finalist. And he's going for a hat-trick of English Open titles, the only player to have won multiple English Opens since the Home Nation Series began back in 2016. This is the 8th staging of the 4-tournament series. Of course, the Welsh Open was long established before the Home Nations. And Selby, along with Judd Trump, is the most successful player in the series. They've both won 4 titles. Selby has also won 2 Scottish Opens.
Well, the black tied up for the moment. Lots of right-hand side on the cue ball there to avoid the reds.
Just holding his hand up because O'Donnell is hampered by the yellow. Selby said afterwards to Alan that he felt a bit flat, even though he did play pretty well in his first match. Of course, he was arriving here fresh from just missing out on the British Open title, beaten by Mark Williams in Sunday evening's final in Cheltenham. And he admitted to feeling a little fatigued, but he's actually playing with a brand new tip on his cue, and he says he's getting used to it. Williams, of course, was outstanding earlier, continuing where he left off in Cheltenham with a 4-0 win over Ian Burns in less than 50 minutes.
Well, that's a mistake from Martin. Catching the red too thick. Made contact with the red just by the blue. So, first chance. Mark Selby. Black tied up, the pink difficult to get to. We'll go to one middle.
Three. Four.
All 4 tables available to watch on Discovery Plus, of course. The other matches in this first half of the evening session: Martin Gould against Ollie Lyons on table 2, Dominic Dale against Gary Wilson, who won the Scottish Open
6.
last season, part of the home nations, of course, and David Lilly on table 4 against Mark Davis, former English Open finalist.
7.
And then later, Graham Dott against Barry Hawkins. That's our second table 1 match that follows this one. Rob Milkins against Adam Duffy. On table 4, it's Jimmy Robertson against Alan Taylor. And on table 3, Stephen Maguire against Louis Heathcote. And the winner of that will play the winner of this in round 3.
Now, if it's pretty straight on this red to the right corner, he may be able to hold for the pink. And from there, he may be able to move some reds away from the pink spot.
Ten.
Now, does he have the angle just to play a cannon to the red, just below the pink? And that would make it available into both middles. And didn't quite have the angle to give that red a nudge. And now the pink,
16.
well and truly tied up.
Selby was a bit of a slow starter when it came to the home nations. He didn't make it past round 3 in the first 5 events. He actually missed the first 3 Scottish Opens. But since then, it's been a very different story. He then won the Scottish Open back-to-back. And of course, he's won 2 English Opens, including last year.
Let's have a look at this for a shot. He's just going to play a little cannon to the black, try and develop it. Oh, he's missed the red. Developed the black, missed the red. And has left a red onto the right corner, although it's not a gimme. Maybe played the cannon more than the pot. Missed a couple with the rest today. Normally so good with it.
One.
It's been a mixed start to the new season, back on tour for O'Donnell. He did make the winners group of the Championship League, and he has qualified for next week's Wuhan Open, the return of ranking event snooker to China for the first time since COVID. beat David Grace to get there. And of course he beat Highfield in qualifying to set up this crack at Selby. But he did lose in the first round of the European Masters and the British Open. He's a tough character, though. 3 times since he first turned professional.
6.
He's managed to get back on the tour. That was over a decade ago now that he first joined the pro ranks. So he's a tenacious character and a very good player. As mentioned, he's been in the top 32. That was back in 2020, not so long ago.
Yeah, he is a good player, but I thought he would have brought the pink into play last time round. He's got the perfect chance to do that here. Chance to pick more reds off. Now, that's okay if you're going to play for the black and get the black back on its spot, which he could have done the last shot round. Always tricky playing for a black so near to the cushion, though. So this time did choose to bring the pink into play, or attempt to.
12.
Still no better off yet. A little bit harder, maybe.
$13.
Aside from that run to the last 4 of the shootout, he's been in 4 other ranking quarterfinals, including the UK Championship.
20.
That was 5 years ago.
So, not quite hard enough for the red he played for. So down for the blue or one of the bought colours.
$21. $26. $27.
Wait for it. And that has run out of position. He was in perfect
34.
position a moment ago. Fully expected him to win the frame from there. So he's going to need another chance now. Don't think he can pop this red he's closest to. He is looking at it though. Yeah, that's a very good shot.
35.
Not ideally on the blue, but what a good pot that was.
As Joe mentioned, bar one final frame decider, which was a best of 7 10 years ago on the old European Tour. Selby has won handsomely when these two have met. In fact, the aggregate frame score over those 6 previous meetings is 29-11. So O'Donnell looking to break new ground this evening. And if he can win this frame after Selby got him first, missed with the extension on the rest into the right corner, then that would give him a real boost. This is awkward. Very conscious of the cluster of reds under his chest. Oh goodness, and maybe that was enough just to affect his concentration on the pot.
Mark Selby, 5.
Yeah, and it could be a disaster, although hasn't landed in the best of spots for Mark Selby. A couple of reds that he could go for to both corners.
We have seen a miscue or two, haven't we, already this week? A couple from Luca Brissell against Stan Moody last night in that thriller that went almost to the wire.
Yeah, deeply disappointed there. And a great chance. Although that cannon hasn't gone according to plan.
8.
That's another good recovery shot. Well, wait for the blue. Wow, that's so unfortunate. And he's left a chance at the red as well. Well, you just can't legislate for these kind of things happening. Just the pure run of the ball. Good pot.
1.
And this looks pretty good on the blue. Needs all 3 reds.
It was interesting to hear O'Donnell in conversation with Alan McManus ahead of this match talking about how almost going back to his roots, playing on the Q Tour, playing in the clubs, was a bit of a wake-up call, really. It's just made him that much hungrier now that he's back as a professional. Oh, but he's missed the green.
In both pockets. And that's the second bite of the cherry there. Maybe he was just afraid of the miscue, because it was a big screw shot, this. And after missing the blue, miscuing on the blue, it could have been in his mind. Sometimes affects players like that. So another chance for Mark Selby. But this red behind the black on this particular table, it's not a gimme. These pockets are playing tight.
Eight. Mark Selby.
Well,
8.
second prize, it's run safe.
Quite an edgy opening frame. That always looked a little high. So it's all about the red. The colours are well situated enough. The red not potable. Another big crowd in this evening. Yesterday was a complete sellout. Today hasn't been much different. Judd Trump, Mark Allen, Mark Williams, Hossein Vafai were among the winners earlier today. Luca Brissell as well, the world champion, coming through comfortably against Andy Hicks.
Well, this really is the long stuff. There's long stuff on the long stuff. Well, took a while, but played it very well. Got to try and get in behind this red, send it down the table. And he didn't manage to do that. So another chance for Martin O'Donnell. Potted a more difficult one than this red earlier. Something similar.
The colours are certainly inviting, so one good pot and you've got to think he's bound to be on something.
The only stumbling block could be the yellow. Doesn't go into the yellow pocket. So it may be wise to play for the green here. And it looks like he's on it. A fraction slower, and he wasn't on anything.
Green ball.
So he needs up to the blue to take this opening frame.
Six. Nine.
Must have thought when he missed the green earlier in the frame that could come back to bite him, but in the end he played that awkward final red with the extensions on rest and cue very well. Got Selby in a bit of bother, and Selby didn't contact the red as he wanted to, left it.
$13.
So no heroics required here, just the blue needed for 1-0. A hard-fought opening frame, a few errors, a few nerves on show. Mark Selby had a couple of chances. But this is exactly the start
24.
that Martin O'Donnell needed. He's got a poor record against Selby. He's never beaten him before, and in 5 of the matches didn't come close. So the first frame is a major tonic for him. And it was a good break to clinch it as he clears to the pink. Advantage the underdog, the defending champion. 1 frame behind, first to 4 to go through to round 3 in Brentwood.
Second frame. Mark Selby to break.
So Mark Selby losing a tight opening frame to Martin O'Donnell, the player he's beaten 6 times out of 6.
Yes, he was very unlucky there in the first frame. Mark Selby potted a good red and chipped the blue into the middle pocket, and that made all the difference in that frame, really. Didn't really do much wrong. But already this is a big frame. In a best of 7 you don't want to go 2 down.
They haven't actually played since 2019, the UK Championship, which Selby won 6-3 in round 3. Oh, that's a terrific pot.
Special. That was special. Digging down into the cue ball, and if you don't catch that cue ball in the middle, you're going to swerve the cue ball before it gets to the red. So good cueing that from Martin O'Donnell. May have to take the more difficult yellow, although it looks to have the angle on the green to come back down the table. Well, he took the more difficult
Martin
green,
O'Donnell won.
and he needs a bit of luck here. The black, I don't think will go to the right corner. The yellow coming down the table certainly helped Mark Selby's cause. He'd like to get onto the red that's blocking the pocket, the one closest to the right corner. He'd like to get onto that one, remove that red. That's okay. Just checking to see that the black will go. Sure it does.
4.
And that looks just about right to give that red a nudge. The red just above the black.
$11.
Perfectly played. Still got 2 or 3 reds
12.
and he could go for, but he's come a little low on the black here. So he may decide to go into them.
It's been quite a renaissance for Selby on the table. This time last year, he was still struggling. He hadn't won a title since his 4th World Championship in the spring of 2021. It all came together for him in this event in December. You saw what it meant to him. He was emotional at the end of his victory over Brissell, and of course
19.
since then he's gone on to win the WST Classic in Leicester, his hometown, and then just missing out at the hands of an inspired Luca Brissell in the final of the World Championship. But he started this season in a similar sort of vein. He's already been to the semi-finals of the European Masters and the Invitational Shanghai Masters before he made the title match last week in Cheltenham. So he's very happy with the shape of his game. But he's gone in off
Mark
again.
Selby 19.
Yeah, he
Martin
put
O'Donnell,
everything
4.
into the pot, didn't he? Nothing on the cue ball to avoid the middle pocket. Just took the risk that he would miss it. And things just not happening at the moment for Mark Selby. It was difficult cueing, so you can understand him not putting anything on the cue ball. A little bit of right-hand side, maybe. But it was the shot previous. He tried to play the cannon to this red that Martin O'Donnell's playing now. And had he got that cannon, he'd have been nicely on the red to the right corner.
The first frames have been completed in the other 3 matches ongoing this evening. Dominic Dale trails Scottish Open champion Gary Wilson 1-0. Ollie Lyons has got the first frame against Martin Gould, former German Masters champion, and Mark Davis, who was runner-up to Stuart Bingham in the English Open. He leads David Lilley by a frame to 0. He's a terrific long potter, O'Donnell, and that's another good one.
Yes, it wasn't the best safety though from Selby, was it? He just caught that red that he played safe off a little thick and left the cue ball short of the baulk cushion. But as you say, Philip, good long pot. And if he takes the blue one, well, he's got to put some screw into the cue ball. Try and get back down for the reds. Yeah, good pot. Now, does that red go to the left middle? If not, this red to the left of the black will go. And that frees the black then.
6. 7.
Well, I'm not sure if he played to develop the black or play around for the blue, but he's on it. And just needs to drop it in pretty slow. He'd be on the red to the right of the pink. He seems pretty composed out there.
He sounded really quite upbeat, didn't he? Speaking to Alan McManus. I don't know how
14.
conscious he is of his head-to-head record with Selby. Probably best not to dwell on it, but that's easier said than done. But he
he's not-
sounded like he fancied the job.
He's not playing like a man that's been beaten 6 times by that man there. He's certainly not playing with any inhibitions.
And that's so important if he can just stay in the moment this evening. He's got the first frame, which could have gone against him. He had the miscue, he missed the green, but ultimately it didn't matter. And as mentioned, it is a long time since they last played. You have to go back to the UK Championship in 2019, so nearly 4 years ago. An awful lot of water under the bridge since then, both on and off the table. So maybe those scars, such as they are, have healed. And he's a different player now, having got back on the tour again after the disappointment of losing his pro status.
I have to say though, Philip, you know, he's cueing so well, and you know, as you said earlier, the long pots are going in, and that's sometimes the secret to winning matches. Don't miss while you're in. Don't miss any easy balls. And you can be very difficult to beat. And you can just see that the black will go to this left corner. If he wants to play for it, that is.
Julian Bell, the referee, with a steady hand, making sure that that pink is as close as it can be to its own spot. Can't be touching the red, of course. Got to be in a direct line with the spot as well. Bit of a procedure. Well and truly
21.
surrounded.
And that is just about right to disturb these reds. Oh, that's a great split. Every chance now of making it 2-0. These couldn't have split any better.
And it was launched by another excellent long-range red, which wasn't easy because he was queuing quite close to the side cushion.
30.
Food for thought for the defending champion.
Yep, he's got to hope for a mistake from Martin O'Donnell.
37. $38. 45.
So just having a look at the scoreboard. Tells him he's 31 points in front. Depending on the colours, he's going to need 3 of these remaining 4 reds.
$46.
Well, if he can take another big colour from the next red, should leave him safe. And that hasn't worked out as planned. I thought the red would go, actually, the lower red.
51.
Looked as though it would go to the left corner. He didn't think so.
$37 in front, but still 51 available. A red and another high-value colour would have been enough to double his lead, barring a snooker. O'Donnell conscious that having worked very hard to engineer this lead, he doesn't want to give it away with a poor shot.
Well, is he going for this red? This is ambitious if he is. No attempt at it.
Martin O'Donnell, 51.
It was a very good break of 51, but not a frame-winning one. Selby still in the hunt, 37 behind. One each now between Dominic Dale and Gary Wilson. 108 break from Wilson in the opening frame.
Well, another poor safety from Selby. And this time you feel it's going to cost him the frame.
And how often do you say that? He's been off in that pocket a couple of times. Now he's caught the middle pocket jaw. Maybe still feeling a little bit flat. That's what he said after his win earlier against Zing. Even though he scored heavily in that match.
1.
Still acclimatising to a new tip, apparently. But O'Donnell's looked very good. Just trying to psych himself up.
Paintball.
Maybe just feeling the strain of last week's exertions in getting to the final and just missing out to Mark Williams. Either
7.
way, it's going to be 2-0 to the underdog. And he's played well.
8.
He deserves that lead. His long potting has been very secure. 3 out of 3, in fact. Selby in meditation mode right now.
14. $15.
Pot success of 91%, which is very respectable. Mark Selby at the moment down at a below par 82%. He's known as the Minister of Defence, Martin O'Donnell, because he's relatively pedestrian in his pace of play,
22.
but he can certainly play this game. The fact that he's been able to recover from losing his tour status on 3 occasions shows
24.
how determined he is. He didn't sound fazed by the prospect of playing someone he's never beaten before in 6 attempts. And at the moment, he's delivering on that pre-match
27.
confidence. He's cueing very well.
Yeah, and his long potting is going in. 3 good long pots out of 3.
31.
Good for your confidence. Selby looks tired there, doesn't he?
36.
And he can understand it.
Yeah, it's unusual to be playing 2 matches on the same day in a Home Nations event. Until the latter stages, obviously, that can happen when the tournament is at the
42.
sharp end. But Selby was due to play yesterday and was given the day off, understandably, along with Mark Williams, because they contested the final of the British Open. But yes, he certainly does look rather tired in his chair there, but
49.
a lot of that fatigue's being caused by the quality of Martin O'Donnell's snooker, and he's been excellent in the first 2 frames. Breaks of 51 and 49 to take the second, and halfway to a famous victory, he leads Mark Selby 2 frames to 0. The second evening here at the Brentwood Centre, the first leg of the Home Nations, the 8th season
Thank you.
of this
Frame
4-tournament
Martin O'Donnell to
series, which started back in 2016 in Manchester with this event. And here we are in 2023, and we could be witnessing an upset with the defending champion Mark Selby on the ropes at the moment, looking tired in his chair, and playing Martin O'Donnell, who looks in the mood to cause a surprise. He's played very well so far. He won't be happy about bringing a red up the table, mind, but has he covered it?
Yes, his opening shot this evening, he played a very good break-off. But this one isn't a half chance.
One.
Now, does he take this black on? The hiding place seems very difficult now that the red's gone over the pocket. Yeah, that's a very good pot. Good kiss. Now, does the black go into that left corner?
8.
Not too difficult to play onto the black into the right corner. If it has to.
Nine.
Taking the opportunity to go into the reds with the insurance of that red nearest the left corner. Very attacking
16.
shot. He's brought more reds into play. He could do with playing this red to the right corner if he can see it, because this is very awkward queuing.
$17.
Dominic Dale, who trailed Gary Wilson 1-0, 1-0 I should say, now leads 2-1. David Lilly and Mark Davis are level at 1 each.
Well, again, this could have gone kinder, couldn't it? It's very awkward queuing this red to the right corner, and the cue ball could be going into the black.
Spider.
Questing the Spider. The other match ongoing this evening, Martin Gould against Ollie Lyons, and it's Lyons who leads that one by 2 frames to 0.
Good pot, and he knew he was going into the black, tried to lead the black onto the left corner. And again, it could have gone kinder. He's just not getting the run of the ball at the moment. So just playing the snooker.
Mark Selby, 25.
Oh, has he got it? Anxious looks there from Selby. Surely he hasn't left the red onto the right middle.
Yeah.
He couldn't have played that any better. And that's what he intended to do, just catch the red thin. Well, this time the red has run safe. That could have been so much different. A super long shot from Martin O'Donnell. I mean, how do you leave him safe when he knocks those cannonballs in?
That's 4 out of 4 now from long distance for O'Donnell.
And that's the best one by far. Deserved to be on an easy colour. It looks like he's only got the safety. Could try and roll up behind the brown, but that's risky.
Martin
What about
O'Donnell.
that for a touch? And that is big trouble for Mark Selby.
Foul and a miss. Martin O'Donnell, 4.
It was well worked out. He knew if he left it short, wasn't going to be leaving anything on. But we're going back, you would think.
Ollie Lyons is having a good night against the former German Masters champion Martin Gould. 3-0 now to Lyons. All the matches on all 4 tables available on Discovery Plus.
What about that for an escape? That was superb. To think of the shot was good, but to actually execute it, that was a superb shot. And that's why he's been 4 times world champion.
Taylor Vest, yeah.
Twice across the table to within a quarter of an inch.
You'd never count Mark Selby out. Some of his greatest victories have come from losing positions, not least in the World Championship when he beat Ronnie O'Sullivan for his first one in 2014. He trailed 10-5. He was 10-4 down to John Higgins in the Crucible final that they contested the second time around and overturned that deficit. So even if he were to lose this frame, of course he's still in the match, but if he is feeling a little below par, a little flat as he put it earlier, then it would be a tall order. So this is a big frame with his title defence in mind.
Well, that told its own story, didn't it? Caught the red much too thick. Now can Martin get to this red to the right corner?
When was the last time Selby had a safety success of only 73%? O'Donnell, on the other hand, 91%, 10 out of 11.
Well, can't get to the easy red, as you can see, but the one just below the pink is on to the right corner. Brilliant. Brilliant pot, but unfortunately not on the black.
Green ball. Martin O'Donnell, 1.
Just a reminder that our second match of the evening features the 2006 world champion Graham Dott against one of the players of the season so far, Barry Hawkins, who won the European Masters and did it in fine style. Beat Luca Brissell, Mark Selby and then Judd Trump in the final. Played superbly, Hawkins. And that will follow this match, but they might have to wait some time yet, particularly if Selby can get himself involved. We know that even if he is feeling a little tired, he's not going to throw in the towel mentally. He'll give it everything. O'Donnell's still got a lot to do to break his spirit. Good luck doing that. Match time of very nearly an hour. Flirting with calamity there.
Yeah, he got close to the red and the blue.
Selby's highest break so far this evening, just 25. Could do with something to inspire him. And that might be it.
What a shot. What a shot. And that little flick on the blue stopped the white ball from going under the cushion. But what a brilliant pot this was. Back against the wall. He dug deep and found something. Now, what can he do? Shots like that can inspire you.
Seven.
And these two reds just below the pink. If he could take the one
14.
that's furthest away, that releases another red to the left corner. Maybe he can get to it this time round.
Twenty. $21.
There was an outstanding pot from Selby to get in. Beautifully cued from distance, perfectly on the blue, and now a clear chance to halve the deficit. Get himself involved in this match. That might perk him up a bit.
Well, he's got to play a little cannon here, that red just below the pink. This is a red that Philip's talking about. And that little flick on the blue certainly helped.
I think the most significant victory on his way to the title last year was the semi-final against Neil Robertson, who had his number for quite some time. He'd won 7 in a row against Selby and was 3-1 up in that match and looking good to make it 8 in a row.
36.
And Selby really did produce the goods after the interval to come through that, and then of course denied Brissell in the final. Shed a few tears. It was a big moment for him because, as we know, he'd had his problems off the table and was perhaps beginning to doubt whether he still had what it took to
43.
win the big titles. He proved that he certainly could, and he's gone from strength to strength since then.
44.
I think he's back where he wants to be now. He's very happy with the condition of his game. He might be feeling a bit flat today, but if he can find a way through tonight, well, plenty of time to recharge the batteries. Martin O'Donnell knows the job is
50.
nowhere near done.
51.
Another terrific pot, no pressure on it obviously because the frame is long since won, but it was the initial red that got Selby in that made the difference, and maybe that will be the catalyst when we look back this evening on this match when it's done and dusted. Perhaps that was the moment that it turned Selby's way. We'll see. He's still behind, but only by 1. O'Donnell leading 2-1. Defending champion Mark Selby is back in the hunt. An excellent break of 56 launched by his best pot of the evening, a long-range red, to halve the deficit. Martin O'Donnell having played very well in the first 2 frames, but he still needs to deny the defending champion, who's twice won this English Open. 2019, when he produced one of his most complete performances in a final, demolishing his friend and practice partner Dave Gilbert. 9 frames to 1, and then of course last season when he beat Luca Brissell. This tournament once again bringing in the crowds. The Essex boys delivered yesterday, Messrs O'Sullivan and Carter winning on day 1. Plenty of action ongoing. Dominic Dale still 2-1 up on Gary Wilson. Oliver Lyons 3-1 up on Martin Gould. David Lilley looks poised to go 2-1 up on Mark Davis. All 4 matches available, of course, on Discovery Plus. And here is the match between Gould and Lyons, who raced into a 3-0 lead, but as you can see, former German Masters winner at the Temple-Drum in Berlin, Martin Gould, has pulled a frame back.
Frame 4, Mark Selby to break.
Can Mark Selby build on an encouraging performance in the 3rd frame? He was looking pretty fatigued in his chair in falling 2-0 behind, but that inspired long red turned frame 3 in his favour. Remember, O'Donnell has only once got close against Selby. That was their very first meeting a decade ago on the old European Tour. Selby won 4-3 on that occasion. The other 5 meetings have been comfortable wins for this man, including a couple in the home nations and here in this event on his way to his first English Open title. 4-1 in round 2, 2019.
Oh, what can you say? And what a good kiss. A deserved kiss, you would say, on the blue. The cue ball would have been close to the ball cushion without the kiss, but what a pot this was. Digging down again into the cue ball.
5 out of 5. O'Donnell held his hand up. Not sure why, because, as you say, if you pot something that good, you deserve a bit of luck positionally, and he got it, but what a pot it was.
Well, 2 reds by the black would be ideal to play for those two. Try and develop the black. He can get to them. Nicely played. Now, can he get to the black? Well, that couldn't have worked out any better either. Played it with a touch of side to take that cue ball down the table towards the blue.
Martin O'Donnell got himself back on the professional tour via the Q Tour last season, which is for the 16 highest ranked players who are not already on the main tour. He won 2 of the 6 events and was therefore the leading money winner. And he made the point to Alan McManus that he actually missed one of those events, so to finish as the leading money winner was doubly impressive.
12.
Yeah, he didn't intend the kiss there on that red. He was playing down for the reds by the black. So unless that red is cuttable to the middle, may have to just play safe off that red. This is very risky to take on. He's going to be leaving the red on over the middle if he misses this. But he hasn't missed it. Great recovery.
13.
Well, he's playing with no fear. Playing with lots of confidence, even though he's been beaten 6 times. For the man he's playing. But like Philip said, it's been nearly 4 years since they've played, so plenty of time to forget about those stats.
And when you're rejoining the tour, it's all important to pick up ranking points to
16.
give yourself a decent chance of remaining on it. And of course, in beating Liam Highfield, he was able to accrue points which you don't get if you lose your first round match. Apart from anything else, he would have missed opportunities like this when he was off the tour, the chance to test his skills against one of the very best. He talked about feeling hungry to make the most of this opportunity, perhaps
17.
took professional status for granted a little, and it's not until you've lost something that you realise how much you value it. It's just made him doubly determined to give himself the chance to play these big matches again. He's been in 4 ranking quarterfinals, including a UK Championship and a shootout semi-final.
22.
So he's reached the sharp end of big events before, and he's eager to get back to where he was when he was top 32 player as
23.
recently as 2020.
Well, it was a pretty good break-off for Mark Selby, getting that cue ball just 2 or 3 inches short of the baulk cushion. But you can't stop a man knocking in the kind of
28.
balls that Martin O'Donnell's knocked in. He's just not landing ideal each time on the blue.
Elliot Slessor watching on.
Trying to get inspired, and Martin O'Donnell showing him the way.
He knocked out Ryan Davis earlier today, 4-2. Of course, he's had a couple of wins over Ronnie O'Sullivan as well.
$34.
Now, will we just try and nudge this black? Again, he's played that superbly. Nicely round for the pink.
Can we keep the noise down, please?
Didn't risk playing the cannon.
$41.
Mark Selby did nothing wrong in this frame. It was a quite outstanding red. He's knocked in all 5 from range tonight that he's attempted, O'Donnell, but the one he got in for this break was arguably the best, because as Joe said, he was digging down into the cue ball. It was such a clean strike.
42.
Just overscrewed that one. Played for the pink, and he's on it. He could have done without going into the reds, because there's no guarantee of being on one. But he is on one, and the break carries on.
48.
Now, does he have the angle on this red, just to give that red next to the black a little nudge and stay on the black? Yeah, he's got the angle. It's whether he plays it or not. He might choose to leave the black where it is.
49.
A handshake in the background there. Looks like Ollie Lyons has got the better of Martin Gould by 4 frames to 1. Over on table 2, Rob Milkins and Adam Duffy will be in action on that table in a short while. There's confirmation all done and dusted on the second match table. O'Donnell looking to go 2 up with 3 to play.
Still
55.
needs a couple of reds, and he could do without playing the cannon to the red and black, leaving that black tied up.
$56.
Well, not ideally on the next colour.
Still 67 on the table.
And to be fair, if you can't get to the next red, looking at a possible plant there, but not quite set to the pocket. If you can't get to a red from the colour, he could push a colour safe, give himself some insurance, but if he can get to a red, and appears this red above the black will go, and that could be the winning shot. 61 points the lead, just needs the red.
61.
It's been a very measured visit to the table from O'Donnell, launched by that magnificent long red. Nothing that Mark Selby can do about this.
$62.
This Brentwood crowd acknowledging that was the ball that carried O'Donnell to the snooker's required stage, and this is the red that got him in, and what a pot that was. Yes, a kindly kiss, but absolutely deserved. And a good response as well, because he saw Selby come to life in the previous frame, Selby having got in with a great long red on his way to his only substantial break of the
67.
evening so far, the 56. But O'Donnell has not been flustered by that one iota. And this red to make absolutely sure of the frame.
$68.
So Selby is going to have to do it the hard way, which is nothing novel for him. But how well is O'Donnell playing?
Well, how well did he play that shot as well, Philip? Lots
73.
of left-hand side on the cue ball, but judged it to perfection.
A timely reminder of just how good he can be. This is the kind of snooker that got him to the world's top
74.
32. And he sounded confident, didn't he, ahead of this match? He really did sound like he was up for it. And why wouldn't you be? He's returning to the big time here, playing one of the best of all time, on TV, in front of a big crowd. That's why these players put in the thousands of hours of practice for opportunities like this. And at the moment, O'Donnell is grasping it with both hands.
81. 87.
He's made 55 professional centuries, just the one this season. Very close to this red. It's a bit awkward. He's done well there.
88.
It's difficult queuing to keep hopes of the 100 break alive, and he deserves one because this really has been an excellent break. He needs another good long pot, but he's made 5 out of 5 so far. Tremendous, really tremendous stuff from the Londoner.
$93. $95.
Two more good pots for the century.
$98.
Stand by for the cheer. Superb break, and the underdog continuing to impress this Brentford crowd. Brentwood. Wrong county.
107.
But he has taken these superbly. All Mark Selby has done in this frame was break off, and it wasn't a bad break off either. It was just a great long red from O'Donnell. Selby spent the rest of this frame in his chair.
120.
Superb. A total clearance of 120 from the world number 104, who's got the defending English Open champion on the ropes here, leading 3-1. Trouble for the defending and 2 times English Open champion Mark Selby, who'd won 6 out of 6 coming into this evening's match with Martin O'Donnell, back on the tour this season after missing out last season and playing out of his skin at the moment. The highlight just now, 120 total clearance for 3-1 against the 4 times world champion. But it's one thing getting into a winning position, it's another converting it, and that is the challenge that now faces O'Donnell.
Yeah, it's a good point, that, because it's a different game now. Now all of a sudden is expected to win 3-1 up, and that can sometimes change the type of game that you play. You don't want to defend the lead, you want to go out and try and win. And that's what he did in that previous frame. Took that long red on, and to be fair, if he'd have just played safe off that red, I wouldn't have blamed him. Oh. He's potted every long ball he's attempted, 6 out of 6. And this could be the one that wins him this match.
I think that's a further indicator of the fact that Selby's not quite with it tonight. His safety game has not been on point in the way it normally is, catching the yellow, allowing O'Donnell to get his hand on the table. That is outstanding, 95% pot success, safety success. That's where Selby would normally be.
Make that 7 out of 7, nicely on the black. And had he missed that, look what he'd left. But missing didn't enter his head. What a good shot again. And it's out of his hands now, and it's in O'Donnell's. He moved the red away from the black spot, otherwise it would have gone down onto the yellow spot and been out of play really. So he decided to move that red, and there is a red to the middle, one to the corner. Both difficult, both missable. That was a nerveless shot, that. Dropping in at that speed.
Didn't touch the sides, did it?
That's a good sign for O'Donnell fans. Got to keep running. Could have done with a little bit more pace in that cue ball.
16.
Needed to be somewhere just short of the blue there to be on these two reds to the left corner. So well short of pace. Future world stars.
It'll be past their bedtime soon. They'll do well to hang around for the second match.
I think it looked a little bit like O'Sullivan and Hendry there. Oh, just stayed out.
Martin O'Donnell, 16.
He's missed very little this evening of consequence, O'Donnell. But the ball's just that little bit trickier when you're within sight of a big victory, as this would be.
So he's getting plenty of support here, Mark Selby. Yeah, played it well. Plenty of action on that cue ball. Look at it drawing itself through the reds. Lots of screw and bottom on that cue ball. Now just needs to drop this in. Play a delicate little cannon. To be fair, it could have finished easier than this. Good pot.
9.
Needs another.
Average frame time of just over 21 minutes. Pace has quickened in the last couple of frames. Selby got back into it with a 56 break for 2-1. Before that superb total clearance of 120 from O'Donnell to put him on the cusp of one of the best wins of his career. Selby will still have other ideas, but there's plenty of pressure on this black.
Make no mistake. This is a man that can handle pressure though. Struck it confidently on a red to both middles. Martin O'Donnell looking on there. Had a chance in this frame. Didn't get ideal position on those two reds. Finished up missing it and leaving it over the pocket. Will he get another chance in this frame?
Meanwhile, Dominic Dale has taken a 3-2 lead over Scottish Open champion Gary Wilson, helped by a break of 99 in the third frame. All the matches available on Discovery Plus, and you can go back and watch matches from earlier in the day as well. 2 each between David Lilley and Mark Davis.
23.
And still to come here on table 1, Graham Dott against Barry Hawkins. That match follows this one.
Bramble.
Played it in such a way that he was going to be on reds. Played for the red to the left corner, but knew he was going to be on reds to the right corner if he over hit it.
Twenty-eight. $35. $36. $43.
Typically gritty response this from Mark Selby. He's not going to let his title defence slide without a lot of fight. And he'll hope to plant 1 or 2 seeds of doubt in his opponent's mind and try and bring to the fore their previous meetings, all of which went Selby's way. 5 of them very comfortably. Remember, O'Donnell had only won 11 frames in those 6 matches coming into tonight's encounter. This is the ready miss, not easy, just undercut it. But he's missed very little.
Yep, on another day, he would have covered that red.
$52.
But at least Selby knows what he's got to do. He knows his opponent's playing well, so he's got to try and win the frames at one visit. 36 points the lead so far, 43 with the black.
Dominic Dale in the background there, going well against Gary Wilson, as mentioned. On table 3, leading 3-2, and back at the table.
59.
Yes, and Selby didn't do anything wrong in the previous frame. It was just a superb break from O'Donnell, launched by that great long red.
60.
Standard has been very good, actually. 51 and 49 for O'Donnell to lead 2-0. 56 from Selby to halve the deficit, and then the century. And now this.
And he needs another red and a colour. And he's just travelled a little far for the blue to be comfortable, considering whether to play the cannon to the pink. But I don't think there's any need to. Coming round the 2 cushions, he just missed the pink. So this red and another colour Should see him safe. Just missed the pink there, look. He didn't intend to hit it.
66.
So this blue will leave O'Donnell needing snookers. He'll play on for them, I'm pretty sure.
$71.
One snooker to tie.
Mark Selby, 71.
By far and away, Mark Selby's best break of the evening. Put him on the cusp of closing the gap to one frame. And that should put paid to this frame.
Well, be very gentlemanly there, Martin O'Donnell, allowing Mark Selby to mop these balls up.
One.
Could have given in.
He would certainly have expected a response from Selby. And he's got one. Both players are queuing very well.
Yeah, it's a good match, this, for sure. I mean, he's knocked in some great long balls, hasn't he? And got one again in this frame. But just didn't capitalise, as he has been doing.
7.
It's good snooker when one mistake costs you the game.
Yes, Selby struggled in the first couple of frames and looked a little ill at ease in his chair.
11.
But I think the way in which O'Donnell has cued has actually inspired him to raise his own game, which he had to do. He's got his pot success percentage well into the 90s now, from down in the high 70s at one stage. So this match is bubbling up very nicely. Possible 2 more frames to come.
What about that for a positional shot? Terrific pot and position.
18. Mark Selby, 18, and the frame.
Mark Selby is not going away. Who knew? He's closed the gap to one frame. Martin O'Donnell still needs one. Selby now needs 2. A terrific tussle this, and it's still up for grabs. This has turned into a really engrossing match. Perhaps at the outset,
Thank you. Frame 6.
you might have
Mark Selby
expected
to break.
Mark Selby to win with something to spare, given their previous head-to-head, which reads Selby 6, O'Donnell 0, but he's had to dig deep here, Selby, to stay in touch. Excellent 5th frame from him. 1 down with 2 to play.
Yeah, good break off from Selby. Two cushion escape, trying to just clip the reds.
Foul. And a miss. Mark Selby, 4.
Can't hit a red full ball, so he can keep going at this. Wasn't far away. Fractions.
Okay, Mark. Foul. And a miss. Mark Selby, 4.
The danger in these circumstances is that you then overcompensate, catch the red too thick and leave something for Selby, who now looks in the mood to take advantage if that were to happen.
Yeah, it looks like he can come off the left side cushion and rest into the reds. The red just below the pink. Because as you say, Philip, if he catches it full, he could leave a red on to this right corner. Now, has he left it? It appears not. Fortunate. Doesn't like it. If he plays off the pack of reds, that red by the middle pocket could come into play. Very aware of that. Could try and leave the cue ball on the black cushion. Send the red back down the table. Some another long pot. Martin O'Donnell. And that red coming over the pocket. And Mark Selby can see it. He played that in such a way that he could only leave the red he played on. And that's the red he's left. He's been unfortunate there. was on the pink, had it gone in.
One.
Now, nice angle on the pink to go into them reds and spread them all over, if that's what he chooses to play. And that's okay. He's on a red, and he's brought more reds into play.
Certainly feels as though the momentum in this match is changing. Martin O'Donnell was rock solid in leading 3-1, that brilliant century clearance, but in the last couple of frames he has missed a couple that earlier in the match I think it had got, but inevitably there's more tension about being on the brink of winning a match like this, which would be a big deal for him. Suddenly the pockets seem a bit smaller, Joe.
Dead right. Mouse's ears. Yeah, it gets more difficult if you allow it to influence your mind, and it's hard to keep it out of your mind to beat the 4 times world champion.
Selby, on the other hand, has been in this kind of situation hundreds of times in his career.
15.
And more often than not, he's found a way to emerge the winner.
Bringing more
16.
reds into play with that shot. And ideally, you should be playing for that red near the black spot. Get rid of that red and then the black back on its spot free. If it goes to the right corner, not a problem. I don't think it does, otherwise he would have played the shot by now.
Pink
More
ball.
difficult to get the left corner. Pink will go on the black spot, just, and that kind of messes things up.
22.
Surprised he played the pink.
$23.
The black. The pink will go onto the blue spot. Just needs to drop it in beyond the 2 reds. The black goes back on its own spot now, and that's made things more difficult.
30.
Pink. Maybe he had no choice, but it's left him with a very difficult pot now. in, but it's very tricky.
And not much room to manoeuvre. One down with 2 to play. And leaves O'Donnell a chance. That could be the end of his title defence.
Well, personally, I think he's got to go for this red to the left corner. And if he can catch the red above it, half ball, he should finish on the blue or both colours. Oh, he's played different red, more difficult red.
Mark Selby, 30.
Quite a kindly kiss on the brown, actually, because had he missed it, he was leaving a red into the green pocket for O'Donnell at least.
Yep.
So 38 behind. Crowd engrossed in this one. The result still in doubt. Gary Wilson has a 44-point lead as I speak in the deciding frame against Dominic Dale. Mark Davis has edged in front of David Lilley by 3 frames to 2. Davis, the English Open runner-up back in 2018 to Stuart Bingham. Still to come on table 1 later. How much later remains to be seen. It'll be Barry Hawkins, European Masters champion already this season, against 2006 world champion Graham Dott.
Well, a little bit of dilemma here, something to think about. He didn't want to play it. He knew the cue ball was going into the reds, and it could certainly have been kinder than landing there. Good pot. Unfortunate with the position.
Martin O'Donnell, 1.
Wasn't as risky as what it looked. He knew he wasn't leaving anything on to the right corner pocket, so the only red he could leave was the one he attacked. And had it gone in, he was nicely on the blue. Gave it a lot of thought. .37 lead, so a good lead. He's just looking for another opening. Again, his safety letting him down. Okay, he's dropped a little fortunate with the cue ball rested in front of the green. Could so easily have left a red on there with the cue ball not reaching the baulk line. Can he be tempted by this red? It's tricky. The cue ball could be going into the reds. Very risky to take it on. Yeah, he played it with a lot of side to try and avoid the reds, but it looked almost impossible to avoid the reds. So a chance for Martin O'Donnell.
1. Three. Four.
Well, no problem for the open reds as yet. Could have come down for those 2 reds by the black spot there, which would have led him to the black.
9.
But chose to play for these 2 reds and go back up for the blue. And it's okay as long as he keeps getting the right side of the blue. Doesn't want to finish straight.
10.
That's okay. Similar scenario. He could come down for those 2 reds by the black spot. That opens the game up if he decides to play it. So easy, just lay for the red above the pink.
$15.
Well, with the pink going to that left corner, that was a good red to play for. Let him onto the pink. These 2 reds just below it go to the right corner. He's building a nice little break here.
22.
Only 15 points behind now.
$23.
Anxious looks from Mark Selby. Will he be coming back to the table? Those 2 reds behind the black spot nearest the cushion are going to need some attention at some stage.
$29.
The crowd's certainly getting value for money. We're not even halfway through the evening yet here on table 1, with a full match still to come. Graham Dodd against Barry Hawkins to follow. Question is, will we need a deciding frame, or can Martin O'Donnell make the most of this opportunity? He's getting back into the frame at the very least, but there's still quite a lot to do. There's a lot of pressure as well. He's not been in this sort of situation for quite some time. The opportunity to take out one of the game's leading lights on TV in front of a big audience like this. Wasn't on the tour last season. Delighted to be back and So far this evening, he's made the most of it, but he's still got to deliver the killing thrust. Scores level.
37.
Well, if the black goes to the right corner, he's still in prime position. And I think it does.
$38.
If he's straight on the black, easy enough to play for the red just next to it. Back into the same pocket. Not quite straight, but he should be able to get to that red. Oh, what a good attempt that was to develop those two reds. He's unfortunate there. Great attempt, this.
45.
Lots of topspin on the cue ball. And if he catches them just a touch fuller, they're developed. And that black takes him into the lead. 8 points the lead. His heart will be pounding. Never beaten, Mark Selby. Now, needs an angle on the black to disturb those reds. Has he got it?
He looked slightly rueful as he walked back round the table with that in mind.
Well, has he got too much of an angle? Can he hit those reds? Yeah, he couldn't hit them thick enough.
53.
So 16 the lead. Could so easily have won the frame of match there with a thicker contact. Might still do. He may still attack this red. May still go for it.
His pot success in this match is a very healthy 94%. What a big shot this is.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Cue ball needs to slow down though. He's okay. He's nicely on the brown. 17 points the lead. 21 with the brown. And a natural angle to come down for that red. Deep breaths, Martin.
Mark Selby's English Open title defence hanging in the balance at the moment.
Doesn't want to finish dead on the cushion, and that's just about right. He could have done with being a little bit closer, but that looks okay.
What a monumental shot coming up here, though, for O'Donnell. This is tough, isn't it? It would be tough at the best of times in the opening frame of a match, never mind to set up the chance for a famous victory.
This red is all he needs, though, because the black would be a gimme. Oh, it stays on the edge. How close was that? Oh.
And on such fine margins, the match is won and lost. Just pushed it to the far jaw, overcut it. If that goes in, Mark Selby is probably heading out of Brentwood as it is. Selby with a chance to pinch the frame and force a decider.
How close was that to winning? Because all he needed was the black. But He's still got to do it, Mark Selby. And not ideal on the pink or blue. Hoping he gets another chance. Oh, he's missed the blue.
Mark Selby.
Wow.
What?
He wants to shake his hand, but
They've conceded frame match.
An extraordinary end to the match. And a famous victory for Martin O'Donnell. What a performance from him. Back on the tour this season. And he's taken out the reigning English Open champion. The world number 104 has accounted for the 4 times champion of the world. Mark Selby is heading out. Martin O'Donnell is through by 4 frames to 2. High drama at the end of that match. It looked as though O'Donnell might have missed the boat when he missed the very tough final red, but Mark Selby couldn't take advantage